My fiancée cheated with our wedding planner before the big day, so I cancelled wedding. And left her crying and begging for forgiveness. I, male, was about to be married to Brianna, female, today. I had proposed to her a month ago, and she was elated about it. We've been seeing each other for almost 2 years now, and I felt it was time for us to exchange vows. You see, I'm more of a boring and introverted nerd of sorts. If you asked me to plan an event, I would most likely put together the most basic stuff and get done with it. So, when she proposed to take charge, I happily handed over my credit card to her. That was my contribution to our wedding. Brianna had always dreamed of a perfect wedding, and when she expressed her desire to bring in a professional wedding planner to handle the big day, I didn't hesitate to support her. She dove headfirst into every little aspect of the event, from the color schemes to the floral arrangements, ensuring that nothing was left to chance. I, on the other hand, had initially envisioned a simpler affair, something we could pull off in just a month to keep the momentum going after my proposal. But she explained, with that persuasive charm of hers, that crafting the kind of elaborate celebration she had in mind would require at least 3 months of meticulous preparation. She painted a picture of elegance and grandeur that I couldn't argue against, so I relented and let her take the reins, agreeing to her timeline without much pushback. I only met the wedding planner once at the outset, just to formalize the agreement and make sure everything felt right. That initial encounter was brief but reassuring. It sealed the deal, and I stepped back, trusting the process. The next time our paths crossed, however, everything shattered. My trust, my excitement, my entire world came crashing down in a way I never saw coming. Before that fateful meeting, Brianna had carefully curated a short list of 2 potential wedding planners for me to evaluate. We sat down together, reviewed their portfolios, discussed their styles, and ultimately settled on Mara. She stood out immediately, sharp, experienced, and undeniably skilled in her craft. Mara had a reputation for turning ordinary events into extraordinary memories, and her business acumen was evident from the get-go. That decision felt like a solid foundation. With her on board, I knew the preparations were in capable hands. As the days turned into weeks, I immersed myself in my work, focusing on tying up loose ends before the wedding. My job demanded long hours, and with our upcoming week-long honeymoon to Paris on the horizon, a romantic escape we'd both been fantasizing about, I needed to clear my schedule completely. Paris had been Brianna's idea, a city of lights and love that symbolized our future together. I pictured us strolling along the Seine, toasting to our new life under the Eiffel Tower, and it motivated me to push through the workload. Meanwhile, Brianna kept me in the loop with occasional updates on the wedding progress, and I was content with that arrangement. It allowed me to stay involved without getting bogged down in the details, which suited my introverted nature perfectly. Everything seemed to be progressing smoothly, like a well-oiled machine humming along toward our special day. Then, out of nowhere, Brianna shared some unsettling news. Mara had been in an unfortunate accident, fracturing her knee in a mishap that left her sidelined. She described it with a mix of concern and practicality. Mara would be in a cast for the next 6 weeks, unable to move around freely or handle the on-site demands of her job. In her place, Mara's stepbrother would step up to manage the ongoing work, ensuring continuity. I remember feeling a twinge of worry at the time. Change in the middle of such an important project could introduce complications, but Brianna assured me it was all under control. Her stepbrother was familiar with the business, she said, and Mara had briefed him thoroughly before stepping back. A few days later, during one of our evening conversations over dinner, I casually inquired if everything was still on track with the wedding plans. Brianna nodded confidently, her eyes lighting up as she elaborated that Mara's brother was not just handling things adequately but excelling at it. She mentioned how seamlessly he had picked up where Mara left off, coordinating vendors and timelines with ease. It put my mind at rest. After all, family ties in a business like that often meant reliability. Little did I know then that this substitution would unravel threads I hadn't even noticed were fraying. As the wedding date drew nearer, now just 2 weeks away, an unexpected hurdle arose. The original venue we'd selected, a picturesque outdoor garden that promised a fairy tale setting under the stars, had to be scrapped due to forecasts predicting heavy, unrelenting rain on our chosen dates. Weather can be unpredictable, and an outdoor event in those conditions would have been a disaster. Soggy decorations, uncomfortable guests, and ruined photos. We had no choice but to pivot to an indoor alternative for safety and comfort. The team quickly identified a luxurious banquet hall in a 5-star hotel as the ideal replacement, with its opulent chandeliers, spacious layout, and sophisticated ambience that could still capture the essence of Brianna's vision. She asked if I could carve out some time from my busy day to visit the new site in person and authorize the payment with a check, emphasizing how important it was for me to see it firsthand. I managed to squeeze in 2 hours away from the office, rearranging a couple of meetings to make it happen. Picking up Brianna on the way, We drove to the hotel, chatting lightly about the minor adjustments this change would require. The drive felt routine, a brief respite from my work stress, and I appreciated the chance to reconnect amid the chaos. Upon arrival, we met Mara and her brother in the lobby. Mara had made a remarkable recovery from her injury by then, her cast removed and mobility restored, yet her brother continued to oversee the arrangements, perhaps to maintain momentum or tie up loose ends. The four of us gathered in a quiet corner, exchanging pleasantries while awaiting the manager responsible for finalizing the booking. The atmosphere was professional, tinged with the excitement of progress, and I felt optimistic about this new venue salvaging our plans. After a short wait that seemed to stretch with anticipation, a middle-aged woman approached us with purposeful strides. She introduced herself as the banquet hall manager, her voice warm and authoritative, clearly someone accustomed to orchestrating high-end events. Without missing a beat, she turned her attention directly to Brianna, extending a hand in greeting. "You must be the bride," she said with a knowing smile, her eyes appraising Brianna's appearance. "The glow on your face speaks for itself, it's absolutely radiant." It was a compliment that echoed what our friends had been saying lately. Ever since my proposal, Brianna had carried this undeniable luminosity, a subtle transformation that lit her up from within. I had attributed it to the joy of our impending marriage, the thrill of building a life together. But as the manager's words hung in the air, a nagging thought crept in. While the wedding excitement was undoubtedly a factor, perhaps there were other elements at play, hidden influences contributing to that glow that I hadn't fully considered. To expand on this moment, I recall how Brianna's involvement in the planning had brought out a side of her I admired. Her attention to detail was impeccable, turning what could have been a stressful process into something almost artistic. She pored over fabric swatches for table linens, debated font styles for invitations, and even coordinated tasting sessions for the cake and menu. My role was minimal, which suited me fine. As an introvert, I preferred focusing on my career, where I could excel in structured environments rather than the creative whirlwind of event planning. Handing over my credit card felt like a gesture of trust, a way to show her I valued her happiness above all. Looking back, that trust was the foundation of our relationship, built over 2 years of shared moments, from quiet nights in to spontaneous weekend getaways. When she pushed for the 3-month timeline, I didn't resist because I saw the logic in it. Rushing a wedding could lead to oversights, and Brianna deserved perfection. She described her ideal day with such passion, elegant decor, live music, a gourmet feast, that I couldn't deny her. It was her dream, and making it reality was my way of saying I love you. In those months, as I buried myself in work deadlines, the honeymoon plans to Paris became my mental escape. I'd researched hidden cafes and scenic routes, imagining us lost in the city's romance, free from daily pressures. Brianna's updates kept me grounded. She'd text photos of floral options or venue sketches, and I'd respond with encouragement, feeling connected despite my absence. The accident with Mara was a curveball that tested our adaptability. Brianna relayed the details somberly: a slip on wet pavement, a painful fracture, and weeks of immobility. Her stepbrother's involvement seemed like a practical solution, a family member stepping in to prevent delays. I trusted Brianna's judgment. She had vetted everyone involved. When I checked in later, her reassurance about his competence eased any lingering doubts. He was efficient, she said, with a fresh perspective that even enhanced some ideas. The venue switch was another test of resilience. The outdoor spot had been idyllic, with blooming gardens and open skies, but rain would have turned it into a muddy mess. The hotel banquet hall offered luxury as compensation: marble floors, crystal lighting, and impeccable service. Brianna's request for me to visit felt important. It was a chance for me to contribute tangibly. Taking time off work wasn't easy, but for her, I made it happen. The drive there was pleasant, filled with light banter about our future. Meeting Mara and her brother again, I noted Mara's improved condition. She moved with ease, her energy back. Her brother, still at the helm, exuded confidence. Waiting for the manager, we discussed logistics casually. Then she arrived, poised and professional, her greeting to Brianna warm and observant. That comment about the glow struck a chord. Friends had noticed it too, teasing Brianna about her bridal radiance. I smiled inwardly, proud of the happiness we'd built. Yet, in hindsight, that glow hinted at complexities I was blind to, emotions stirred by unforeseen connections, layers beneath the surface that would soon erupt and change everything. As the conversation unfolded, the manager's words lingered, adding an unwitting foreshadowing to the scene. Our friend's observations mirrored hers. Brianna's transformation was palpable, a subtle shift in her demeanor that I attributed solely to wedding jitters and joy. But life has a way of weaving in other threads, perhaps stress from planning, or deeper, unspoken desires. At that moment, though, it felt innocent, a compliment that boosted the room's energy. Little did I know it was the calm before the storm, a prelude to revelations that would force me to question the very fabric of our relationship. The wedding, once a beacon of hope, was teetering on the edge, and this meeting would push it over. Brianna turned pale on seeing that lady and was cutting her off in between. After hugging Brianna, that lady greeted Mara's brother and said, "You a lucky man to have such a gorgeous woman as your fiancée. No wonder you're unable to take your hands off of her." Brianna grinned and intervened, saying there must have been some misunderstanding. The lady, trying to assure Brianna, said, "Oh, don't be embarrassed. You guys are so much in love and going to be married soon. I run this hotel. I see so many couples making out in the elevator every day, so no big deal for me." Mara sensed the discomfort in the situation and pitched in, but it was too late. She said, "Okay, we were here to discuss the final quotation for the venue." I stood up and left without saying a word. I couldn't sit there pretending nothing had happened. I understood what exactly had been going on there. Brianna ran behind me, trying to stop me. I closed the elevator on her face, rushed to the parking lot, and drove off. I could see her chasing my car in the basement. That 15-minute drive to work was the most difficult drive for me. My phone was constantly buzzing with her calls and messages. I reached the office, but I was really not in a condition to work. I requested the receptionist not to forward any calls or meetings for the day and cancel all the impending ones. After hundreds of missed calls from Brianna, I responded. It was all about "That's not how it sounded, there's a misunderstanding." That lady admitted she might have mistaken me for someone else. "She wants to apologize to you. Could you please come and meet her once again?" I said, "I'm no fool here." She insisted that I meet the woman once again to clear the confusion. I hung up without saying anything. I didn't respond to her after that call. In the evening, I got a call from Mara. She said she was sorry to interfere in our personal matter, but she also requested me to meet that woman and see for myself what she had to say. I said, "I don't know. I'm not in the right state of mind right now." After thinking a lot about it, I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt and meet that woman. I didn't tell Mara or Brianna about it. The next day, I again went to the hotel and asked for that lady. I was escorted to her cabin, and she apologized to me. She said she might have seen someone else and mistakenly took it for Brianna. I was convinced by her reason. I mean, she could be confused by one person, but not both of them. She said, "Maybe I saw Bree and that young man together during their site visit, and the next instance I saw some other couple making out and got confused." I asked her if she could show me the camera footage of the elevator on the day Brianna visited the venue. She suddenly turned pale and stammered her way to say that she couldn't. It was beyond her company's policy to show the camera footage to outsiders. The security policy was understandable, but her behavior was still suspicious to me. I asked her why she was explaining herself and why she needed to be so apologetic. She said she was worried about getting fired from her job if Mara complained about her big-mouthed behavior to the hotel owner. I mean, the hotel lost its bookings due to her nosiness. I said, "Look, I don't believe your reason at all, but if you're worried about your job, I can assure you that it won't be affected." I called Mara right in front of that lady and told her I was canceling the booking for the venue and she wouldn't do anything to jeopardize that lady's job. Mara asked me if I had met that woman. I said yes, and she has cleared the confusion from her end, but I still want to call off the wedding, and it has nothing to do with the hotel manager. Mara said okay and hung up. That woman thanked me for it. While I was leaving, she asked for my card. I gave it to her. Later in the evening, I got a call from her, and she told me that she had actually seen Brianna with that wedding manager guy, and there was no confusion. She had agreed to lie to me to save her job. Brianna had begged her to lie and even softly threatened her that she would complain to management about her nosy behavior. I asked her why she was speaking the truth now. She said I was kind to her, and she wanted me to know the truth because she had a broken home due to a cheating husband. She understands the pain of betrayal. Fair enough, I didn't tell anyone about this. I'm not that social of a guy, my work keeps me busy. I have a close-knit bond with my siblings, but I didn't tell them or my mom either. Meanwhile, Brianna kept sending me cute texts and selfies. I'm yet to block her or even confront her about the truth. Though I understood the truth on the very first meeting with this lady, meeting her for the second time got me thinking about Brianna's cruelty. I mean, how could she stoop so low to threaten the woman for her job and force her to lie? Now I wonder if I really know the woman I was supposed to be getting married to today. Ah, the joys of wedding planning. They say it's the happiest day of your life. From "will you marry me" to "will you lie for me" in just a few dramatic scenes. Brianna, the blushing bride-to-be, turned master manipulator, pulling strings like she's auditioning for the lead role in How to Lose a Groom in 10 Days. Well, you're sure to lose one when you're fooling around in an elevator with someone other than your fiancé. I didn't go home on D-Day. I spent the night at my office. The next day, I met the woman at the hotel, and things became crystal clear. That evening, I called Mara and asked her to come down to my office. When she was here, I told her I wanted to terminate the contract. I was ready to pay whatever was under their policy and some extra compensation for her loss, but she politely refused. She charged me whatever was within the contract. She even gave me an extra refund out of empathy, but I think it's her guilt because our life got screwed because of her low-life brother. She said she would initiate the exit formalities and mail me. It was sorted. Brianna was still texting me, asking me when I would come home and sending all those loving and caring messages. She flipped when Mara sent the contract termination email. Brianna panic called me, asking me to come home and talk this out like adults. I responded that she needed to vacate my house and that there was nothing left to be talked about. She came down to my office, but I asked my reception desk to not let her inside my cabin and tell her I was busy. I called her and asked her to leave. I said I was not in a state to have any rational conversation with her and that she should not bother me for some time. She vacated the house with her essentials but left the car. It was gifted by me on her last birthday. I've been holding myself together until now, but today was supposed to be my wedding day. Calls from friends and relatives are making it worse. I've switched off my phone from the morning. Nothing says avoid confrontation like a cozy desk chair and the soothing hum of fluorescent lights. Who needs marital bliss when you've got ergonomic furniture? Am I right? So, you met with the hotel manager and decided to cut ties with the wedding circus once and for all. Contract termination, extra refunds, and a side order of guilt. Sounds like the perfect recipe for bidding farewell to matrimonial mayhem. I spent the next week living in a cocoon, limiting my conversations only to my senior staff for work-related stuff. I asked my wedding planner to do me a favor and send the cancellation email to all the guests who were invited. That led to a flood of calls and texts from pretty much everyone. My side of people were worried about me, while her family and friends were behind me for reconciliation. Brianna was still telling everyone that I had called off the wedding over some stupid misunderstanding. I let it be. After a week of sulking and brooding over my sorrows, I had to get back to work. I don't have the luxury of just moving out of the city and disappearing like others I read about on this subreddit. I wish I had that luxury. Now, I'm cursing myself for even trying to get into this love crap. Gladly, I've been away from all this for so long, I should have stayed that way. My friends were right in saying I was late to the wedding bells, but it has to do with my family setup. My dad passed away when I was in my final year of college, leaving his manufacturing business to me. I have a sister and a younger brother. My sister was in her freshman year when Dad passed away, and my brother was still in high school. So naturally, everything came to me. Our business wasn't on the multinational level that could operate with a board and trustees without the owner's presence. It's a mid-size manufacturing business where someone needs to actually run the show to survive. I was quick to jump into the boat and take it over. We had no other option. We had a house mortgage and college education to fund for my siblings and support for my mom. She's not a working woman. I worked hard to learn the business and tried to scale it up. I was so worked up for all these years that my love life had been put on hold. I had a few things here and there, but nothing serious, not even casual relationships. Most of it was one-night stands and casual sex. I met Brianna 2 years back at a common friend's party. She was so bubbly and cheerful that I couldn't take my eyes off her. We started off as a casual fling and didn't realize when I fell for her. She deserves a lot of credit for putting up with my busy schedule. She had been patient and accommodating with my work commitments. That's when she said she wanted a wedding of her choice. I readily agreed. She deserved to have a dream wedding, and that's what I thought until now. I haven't told a lot of people the reason for our wedding falling out. My mom and siblings know, and for the rest of the others, they don't need to know. Brianna showed up at my mom's house, thinking she didn't know the truth. She requested my mom to help us reconcile. Out of respect, Mom didn't spill the truth and said she would ask me to call her. I didn't want to, but Mom convinced me to have closure. It's necessary to move on. All the hows, whys, and whens need to be answered. I'm not sure if I really need closure or if I've already moved on without it. I'll do it if I feel the need to have the answers. I have cancelled the honeymoon bookings we had for Paris. It was insurance covered, so I got the refund pretty much, except for the flight booking. I cancelled it at the last moment. People calling her a gold digger, please don't use that word. I don't want to put all sorts of labels on her just because she cheated. She cheated, and I called off the wedding, that's it. I don't want to be disrespectful toward her unnecessarily. Brianna showed up at my door last day. I knew she eventually would. If this was earlier, I might have gotten a restraining order against her, but now I think my anger has subsided. The pain is still there, but I think now I was ready to at least listen to her. I let her in. She wanted to hug me, but I blocked her. Before she started speaking, I said, I know the truth, so better not to manipulate it. She went numb for some time and said, I'm here to confess, and went on to say that cheating was never intended, but it just happened. One thing led to another. When Mara injured her knee, she was terrified about the whole arrangement and also kind of annoyed when her brother Aaron, the affair partner, took over her work. She got more involved to make everything seamless. For the first 2 or 3 times, she didn't even notice him that closely. Their conversation was very transactional only. When they went for the wedding dress trial and the way he meticulously selected everything to match her taste and elegance, did she notice him? He was just being extra nice and sweet to her. "I'm sorry. I know I screwed up." I kind of fell for his flirtatious comments about my beauty and features. Unknowingly, I was seeking validation from him. It was so flattering, I couldn't resist myself. She broke down, bawling her lungs out. I asked her when they crossed the line. She asked if I really wanted to know all the details. I said yes. She said, "When we went to visit the hotel venue, Aaron picked me up. I was floored by his chivalry. In the car, he was trying to touch me, but I didn't reciprocate it, but we eventually made out in the elevator. That's when that woman saw us. Coincidentally, she saw us again when we were leaving the hotel. We were making out again. I asked her if it was just that. She stammered, no. Then we booked a room in the same hotel and had sex 2 or 3 times. It suffocated me so badly that I had to get up and take a walk to the front porch to gasp for air." "Was that all?" She said yes, and then the next day, that lady at the hotel spilled out the truth. Brianna was also choking from heavy breathing. I realized her guilt was giving her tough times. She looked pathetic. She kept crying and apologizing. I couldn't hold back my tears. She held my arms and asked if there was the slightest chance of getting back together. I said no. She let an affair partner sleep with her because he complimented her generously. It was such a cheap deal for her. I cannot trust someone so shallow. I mean, if her reason is that his flattering compliments lured her into his pants, then there could be so many areas where I falter and others are good at that. I'm busy at work. I'm not that romantic kind of person. I'm introverted and not very good at giving compliments. Does this mean every time she meets a guy who has these qualities which I don't, she would cheat? She said I was indirectly calling her a. I said I'm not putting any label on her but speaking the facts. She had never cheated on me for all these years, and she had never found me incompetent. She said my love was just enough for her. I wish it was, but it's not. I don't want to live in a constant feeling of insecurity and incompetence that she might meet someone better and mess everything up again. There were several rounds of breakdowns, crying, and apologizing for hours. I realized it was not working. It was getting worse for both of us, especially me. I was getting weak and falling for her tears, so I showed my backbone and stood up to leave. I told her I had packed and kept her remaining stuff in the garage. She didn't say anything and kept sobbing. I came back after an hour, and she was gone. I checked the garage, she had taken her stuff. I feel lighter now. Indeed, closure helped in my case. I didn't think I needed it, but I'm glad I listened to my mom and gave it a shot. The classic confession at the doorstep scenario. Nothing says welcome back like a tear-stained apology and a side of betrayal. I've unblocked Brianna, but I've also made it clear that we are not going to be together. She understands that now and doesn't bother me. She also confessed the truth to her parents, who then called me to apologize. After I canceled the wedding, they were literally threatening to hunt me down. After knowing the truth, they were sorry about that. I said it was fine and understandable. I have no harsh feelings for them. Now that my anger has subsided, I feel maybe I too have a role to play in this cheating. I need to work on expressing my feelings and letting my loved ones know how much I love them. Communication has been my problem. I love my family and would give my legs and arms for them, but rarely have I told them that I love them. Same for Brianna. I loved her more than anything else, but I wasn't generous in expressing that feeling. She's the prettiest woman I have seen, yet I didn't tell her this enough. I'm not justifying her cheating at all, nor am I planning any reconciliation, but I feel this to be my incompetence. I've scheduled an appointment with a therapist, and I'm looking forward to working on this aspect of my personality. I don't wish for any serious relationship now, not at least in the near future. Heartbreak is hard, it's damn hard. Oh, the bittersweet symphony of it all. Like breaking up with your problems and making up with yourself. Kudos to you, Op, embarking on a journey of self-discovery that's more cathartic than a therapy session with Dr. Phil. May your heartbreak be but a footnote in the grand epic of your life, and may your future be filled with love, laughter, and maybe a few fewer elevator makeout sessions. Cheers to moving on, moving forward, and moving up in the game of life.